Hey everybody, my name is Oren. I'm here with Cohen Powell today. Mustafa couldn't make it onto the call, so I'm taking over for him for just today. I know you'll probably miss him a lot, but in this workshop today, we're going to do a little bit different than what we normally do. As you probably know, we work with countless different businesses all across the U.S. using our software, and we get a lot of different questions or troubleshooting that they always need help with. So in this video, we're actually consolidating many of the questions that we receive on a day-to-day basis, and we wanted to give you this opportunity to tell you how to handle these certain situations in case you're coming across a similar situation. Some of these might seem simple. Some of them is like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. So we just wanted to go through that specifically during this call. But before we get started, I do want to show a couple of things to help you in case you ever do come across some of these problems. There is some great resources that you can use. Number one, on the sidebar, you'll see that there is a section called Knowledge Base. This will give you a lot of information that you need for simple things to very detail-oriented stuff that you can work inside the software with. You do have a search bar at the top to find specific things, whether it needs to be how to send an email, how to send a text, how to add a phone. Just ask those questions. You could also do the same thing using this little chat widget on the side. Just click on it, and then it should have the option on reaching out to support, knowledge base, stuff like that. Very similar to what you see on this screen. You can also schedule a support meeting with our team, clicking on this link right here. And you can also submit any requests by clicking on the link right here, and this will automatically go to our team, and we'll try to respond as quickly as possible to rectify the issue that you're coming across. Now, with that being said, I'm going to hand off to Cohen to start with some of the first initial items that we want to go over, and then I'll probably take over a little bit later. So Cohen, go right ahead. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
One of the most common things we get asked is how to import a list of contacts into our sub account, and it's a very easy thing to do. So what you want to do is gather your contacts into a single CSV file, and that is very important. That is CSV. That is the only file that works with this operation. And then next you want to go into your sub account and go to contacts, and then you want to go to this top bar right here and click import contact. Now this will bring you up to this screen right here, and you will get to decide if you want to add your contacts or add your contacts as contacts or opportunities. In this case, we want to add them as contacts, and then click next, and then we want to choose which file we want to use. In which case I will use this dummydata.csv file. Again, it must be CSV. That is very important. And then we want to choose how to import these contacts. Create and update contacts, or just create the contacts. In this case, I'll just do create new contacts. And then, right here it says find existing contacts based on email and then phone. Click on next. And then we are going to map out each field that is within our CSV file. So the very first thing, let me open up this CSV file so that y'all can see it. Here we are. It's a very simple list. So right here, we have the business name, first name, last name, email, phone, and tag. So we want to minimize that. So business name, we want to map it as business name, first as first name, last name as last name, email as email, phone as phone, and tag as tag. Seems correct to me, so let's click next. And then next we are going to set our preferences. Do we want to create a smart list for the new contacts created by the import? Yes, we do. And I'll go over what a smart list, if y'all do not know, shortly. So let's just do dummy data. And this is what we would be calling our smart list of new contacts that we are importing. And then do we want to add important contacts to our workflow? No, we do not. That is a little more advanced. And do we want to add tags to imported contacts? For now, let's leave that blank. And then right here at the very bottom, we have to click this checkbox saying that we have received the consent of these contacts to put them into our system, basically. and then start bulk import. And then if you see right here, we have a bunch of names up here at the top called all, slash users, potential client, dummy data, which is what we just created. These are going to be the personalized lists that we create for our contacts. And this is basically just keep things a little more organized and just keep track of everything a lot easier. So I'm going to refresh the page to view our dummy data smart list. Okay. And right now, since upload of CSV file does take a while, it's going to be a bit until every single contact is imported. But as we can see right now, I have been updated. I was on that list, and I've been updated to the dummy data contact form.
And then the
So,
other thing that you want to bring up is since you chose add contacts and not update contacts, any contacts that are already in the system will not go into the dummy data section. So let's say someone on that list was Gail Powell. If she's already in the system and all you did was just add new data in, she won't be added to the dummy data smart list. So that's probably why there's only one contact in there right now. Sounds good?
Yep. All right, and that's it for how to import a CSV of your contacts. Next, we want to go over on how to add a new user to your sub account, which is very easy. So we want to go to settings within our sub account, go to my staff, and then we want to click on the top right, add user. Here we want to fill out the user's information. So we want to go with first name C, last name Powell, and then fill out all the fields accordingly. Put in our phone number, and then select calendar and so on. That is a little more advanced. If you have a calendar that you want them to be assigned to, this is where you would set that up. And then next we want to click next. And here this brings up another point of roles and permissions. For any new users that you are adding to your sub account, this is where you would want to set the permissions that you're allowing your users to have. So say for example, the most common one that we receive is we want to limit our users' ability to view payments. So if you want to do that, you would want to scroll down until you reach the payment section, and then click this slider right here, or click in the individual checkboxes that relate to what you want them to view and what you not want them to view. We don't want them to view anything, so let's turn off payments altogether. And by doing that, your user cannot view payments within the sub account whatsoever. So that is another very common question that we get from our leads and contacts, like how can we do this? Well, very easy to do. So that is how you update the roles to your contacts as well. Hit save, and user created successfully. Next, we want to go to how to add or delete a user. So let's go to the one that we just created. Click delete, sorry. And then we want to type in delete to confirm, confirm delete. And just like that, you can delete your user. And next, we want to go over on a very common question, which is how to add a phone number. So next, we want to go within our settings, within our sub account, click on phone numbers, go to manage phone numbers, and then add number. We want to add a phone number, a completely new one. And then we are greeted with an entire list of available phone numbers that we can buy and use for our sub account. So if we want to get more specific and use a local phone number, we can go to filters, provider number, and then let's search the first 3 digits of the phone number. For us, it would be 850, which is the local area code. Match to first part of number and hit apply. And just like that, we would receive a bunch of 850 numbers that we are able to use. We'd then click and then hit proceed to buy. Since we don't need this, I'm not going to hit proceed to buy. But after that, it will ask for an ID verification from you. This is very important. Since there have been a lot of scam calls recently through this system, we had to update security measures, and it does require a ID verification. So be sure to have that prepared. It'll just have you show your ID up to the camera, and then you will just take a little picture of your side profile on each side. And then, simple as that, you can buy your new phone number.
And this is only a one-time ordeal. If you try to buy 5 phone numbers, you only have to do it once. So it's all good.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next, we want to see how we can remove a phone number, which is very easy. It's within the exact same page. You would want to click on the three dots on the phone number that you're wanting to get rid of, and then click delete number, and it'll take you through the prompts from there and just hit confirm. Very next thing, we want to view bulk actions. This is relating back to the contacts page as well.
All right, so continuing on with phone numbers and everything, I just want to go more in detail on how to update information related to a phone number. This is a very commonly asked question. Maybe you want a phone number to redirect to a different number, so that way maybe to your cell phone or something like that. Or maybe you want it to show up a specific way. Maybe you want to turn on call recording or turn off call recording. This is how you would do stuff like this. So to do this, I'm going to share my screen really fast. And then I'm going to just choose one of the numbers that we have inside of our account. We'll click on the first one right here. Click on Edit Configuration. And then you'll see that there's a bunch of options right here. I'm going to actually choose a different number because it looks like that's part of a, there we go, much better. Part of a automation. So we'll look at this one. Right now, as you can see at the top, this was actually associated with Jeff Powell. However, sometimes that might not be the case. The next thing that you'll see is name your number. So that means whenever you go and choose a phone number from the little call icon at the top, instead of it showing a phone number in there, it'll actually show like a name to it. So Jeff Powell, Orrin Powell, main line, something like that. Whatever you want to put in there, you could definitely do that. The next section right here is pass call number as caller ID. Now, the reason why you might want to do this is basically what this does is if I called a tracking number from my cell phone number and it goes to a tracking number where the tracking number redirects to the business cell phone number, if I don't have this checked, whenever it forwards to their business cell phone number, it's going to show my personal cell phone number. However, if I check this box, it will actually show the tracking number instead. Now, why would you do that? The reason why some people do this is so maybe they have multiple different types of phone calls coming to their personal cell phone and they need a better way to track it. Let's say if they had this specific number pop up on their screen every time, they could add it as a contact on their phone saying it's for business related. So they know how to answer the phone and how to say it's like, hey, this is Orrin with OverPower Marketing. How can I help you today? Instead of saying, hey, what's up? This is Orrin. How can I help you? So you could be a lot more professional if you know where the number is calling from. Forward calls too. This is going back to what I was saying before. You can have phone numbers inside the system forward to a specific number, whether it's your personal cell phone number, your work, your actual work number, or let's say maybe you want to have it connecting to multiple different numbers. You could do it like that. That's a little bit more advanced, but we'll talk about that later down the road. There are other options that are not very used. Whisper message is if you want a message to be heard before you actually answer a call. So whenever you pick up the phone, you say hello, it's going to whisper something to you so that way you know how to talk to that person on the phone. Now, going into another very common thing is call recording. The reason why this is very common to get is because there are some laws, depending on what state you're in, where you have to make sure to say this call is being recorded. Either it's no party, one party, or two party. What I mean by that is no party, meaning you don't need to say call recording. No one in the party needs to know that the call is being recorded. On one party state where they need to know the call recording is someone out of the two people needs to know that they're being recorded, whether it be the client side, the business side, or the consumer side. And then a two-way call recording state would be both parties must know. In that case, this is where play a call recording is very important, saying this call may be recorded for quality assurance. If you want to have your calls being recorded, but you need to have that message in there, this is where you can update that. But if you're a one-party state or a no-party state, you don't need to have this checkbox selected, so you could skip that. This is where you do all this, and you can customize the message that is being said to the consumer as well. Incoming call timeout, outgoing call timeout. This is basically how long you wait until it does a specific action, whether it goes to an automation, goes to the voice AI agent, goes to voicemail, whatever it might be. This allows you to handle that situation appropriately. The last thing is related to inside the system, ring incoming calls to selected users. If we have like 5 people inside the software, and we want this specific number to ring only to Jeff Powell. If Jeff Powell's logged in, someone calls his number, it will start ringing at his desk. So that's an example right there. So that's how you could customize and edit and add call recording for a phone number. Moving on to the next topic, common audio issue. So probably one of the most common thing when someone first initially starts using the phone is they might not be able to hear any sound. It's probably because there are some settings that they need to handle. Number one, making sure that your audio is connected to whatever headset that you're using, the Bluetooth device, making sure that sound is on all the way. And if you go into your gear icons, let's just say, actually, let's see, mic, I think it would be. Yeah, sound setting. You might have the options to listen to output and whatever your input's in. That's the first thing you need to do when you go to your computer is making sure that the output is going to something that you can hear and input is going to something like a mic like I have in front of my mouth. It's making sure that it's going to the correct mic. As you can see, I have 2 different mics. If I switch it over to this one, you probably couldn't hear me that well or it sounds very buffered. So that's an example right there. The next step is on the actual browser. So if I try to make a phone call through the system, you'll notice on the right here, this icon's going to change to microphone is in use. Before this actually populates, you have to enable it. So if this is the first time you're making a phone call through your browser, it might say at the top, do you want to enable the mic to be used? In that case, yes. And then you'll be able to actually use the mic and headphones while making phone calls through your browser. That's probably the 2 most common issues that we have when it comes to incoming and outgoing calls through this phone number. Now, next commonly used question that we get a lot is merging contacts. We just actually went through this situation earlier today, so this is a great example. So let's say you have multiple contacts inside your software and it's related to the same exact person and you're trying to put them all together so that way you don't have to check each individual contacts. That's totally fine. Let's go ahead and do an example. I'm going to type in Oren Powell inside of my software because I do a lot of test calls in here. And you'll notice that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different numbers here. This one doesn't look like it's needed, so we'll just skip that. I'll go ahead and select all these. That's dummy data, so I can just delete that. Make sure all these are legitimate. That's dummy. And that's a good one. That's a good one. And that's just a dummy one again. So we got these 7 numbers right here. If I want to merge it, at the top you'll see this little icon of 2 squares trying to connect to each other. That's called merge up to 10 contacts if you hover over it. And right now I have 7 contacts, so this should be fine. What's going to happen next is it's going to list out each individual contacts, and then you get to choose, number 1, what is going to be the master accounts. This is mainly because which one has the most information that's accurate. So we'll go through each one. I normally try to only do it up to like 3 because once you hit like 4 to 7 or 10, then you have to scroll left to right just to make sure everything is correct. So we'll go ahead and make this the master account. We do want to keep that. We want to keep that. That's fine. I mean, I am a customer, I guess you could say. Keep this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Enable D&D. No, we do not want to enable it. So D&D is turned off. And then if you see checkboxes, that means it's going to take that information on all those sections. And then we have some more. There we go. That should make it easier. And I'm just going to look for all the checkboxes. We'll keep this one, this one, this one. I should have chose a different contact then. I'll do that. We don't need all that. There's a lot of data. As you can see, I use this for testing a lot. And then we're good to go. And then once we got all that data correct, we'll just go ahead and merge the contact. Like I said, it's probably better if I only did like 3 at a time, not 7. But you can do up to 10. merge the contacts. And then if I refresh this data, it will consolidate all the conversation I had with those 7 different contacts and put them into one. And that will take some time since I'm doing 7. So we'll move on to the next thing. Set up voicemail. This could be set up at the company level or at the user level. What I mean by that is if we go into settings and then we go down to phone numbers and then we go over to here, advanced settings, and then we go to voicemail and missed call text. By the way, there's a lot of great information that you could use inside of here, but we're just talking about this one first. You'll have the option to actually set up a voicemail for your account. So if anyone ever calls your phone number that's in the system, it will actually go to this voicemail instead. As long as that user they're calling does not have a voicemail, it will just use this one by default. So this is like your catch-all voicemail, I guess you could say. They'll take a lot of different files to choose from. So if I wanted to use this one, and we'll just do MP3, and we should have one fake voicemail. Upload it right there. We could play it, test to make sure it works, and save call settings. So now if I ever call this number, if we actually go in and I call this number inside the system, it will actually play this voicemail instead rather than my personal cell phone voicemail. So that comes very nice and handy. It's also good to make sure to set this timer to something before your personal cell phone will do. So I normally try to do like 15 seconds is a safe number. So that means what that means is it will ring to that phone for 15 seconds and then it will hit this voicemail right here instead. Awesome. Since we just talked about that, let me go back to contacts and see if that actually merged some of those datas. So if I type in Orrin Powell, as you can see, instead of having 11 contacts now we're down to just 6. So it worked. Awesome. And there's some dummy data that I could just go ahead and delete as well. So as you can see, that would be a great example of what we just did. So next thing that I want to show is some simple automations that you could do in the software. This is for anyone can use. We're not going to go very in-depth in it, but this is probably the most commonly used automation that almost all of our accounts use. The first one is assign to user. Instead of actually assigning individual contacts to a user, you could do bulk action in this case. So the best way to do this, since it's not already built into the system, is going into automation at the very bottom and clicking on create a workflow, start from scratch. And inside of here, we're just going to go ahead and assign to, let's say, assign to, I don't know if Casey's in the system, so let's just do Philip in this case. All right, assign to Philip. We don't necessarily need a trigger, but if we want to set up a trigger, we can. Most of the time, it's just one action, which is assign to user. There we go. And then we can rename it to something else if we want. So let's just do Casey. Now that I know that Casey is in there, Casey. And then we'll go ahead and choose Casey right there. And then the next thing is only apply to unassigned contact. Basically what that means is, let's say I do a group of 100, but there's some of those contacts that might be assigned to Mustafa in this case. I don't want them to be reassigned to Casey. I want Mustafa to keep his contacts. Then I would not check this box. I would only apply to, I would check this box where it would only apply to unassigned contacts in that case. Cool. And then we'll click on save and then publish and save. Now, if we go to a contact, I'm just going to select 3 right here. Click on add to automation. Put just a note up there and just start typing Casey. We now see the automation called assign to Casey. Very simple. And then I could go ahead, send all at once and add to automation. That's the first one. The second one that's very commonly used, it's also very simple to do, is add to power dialer. You could also call this as add to manual dialer or add to manual action calls. They all mean the same thing. So create a workflow, start from scratch, and then add to power dialer is like what we normally like to call it. We'll skip the trigger, but if you want to add a trigger, you're more than welcome. and then we'll do manual action, and there's an SMS or manual action to call. We'll click on that, save, action, publish, and save. And I'll rename this to test because I think we already have one made. Cool. So add to power dialer. Cool. And if we go to a contact and choose like 3, add to automation and type in power dialer, there it is. Add to power dialer test, and then send all at once, and then add to automation. And basically what that would do, if you don't know what a power dialer is, I'm not going to go too much in depth, but I will show you a brief overview of that. We go into conversations and then manual action at the top. This is basically where your manual action is. Basically what this allows you to do is once you press the Let's Start button, it will start calling the first person. Then after it calls the first person, it goes to the second person, then third person, giving you about 25 seconds time to add notes, add tasks, whatever you need to do between each call. So that's basically what the power dialer is. Awesome. And then I'm going to leave the next 3 for Cohen to do. So Cohen, feel free to take the floor.
All right. So there are primarily 2 ways to view bulk actions. Both of them are going to be for 2 different things. So for contacts, it's going to be within here, within the contacts tab, and click bulk actions. And here is a list of things that might seem like gibberish to you, but basically what it is just a history of all actions that have occurred in a recent timeline. So as you can see right here, action label, dummy data.csv, and so on. The operation was an import of a CSV file, and status is complete, and it was done today at 2:40 p.m. So this is basically just going to give you a brief history of everything that has been done within your contact system. It's just so you can keep track of everything that people have been doing within your sub account, basically. So that's it for the bulk actions within the contacts tab. Next, we have opportunities. All right. Now, within opportunities, we're going to show you how to create your own opportunity pipeline and stages. So for this, we're going to want to go to pipelines, create new pipeline. And for this, let's just say dummy opportunity board. And then we're going to add our individual stages. So we want to basically make an organized list for any new contacts or new leads for our business. So we want to create individual stages describing how interested they are in our services. So very easy. We can start off with deferred, new leads, booked appointment,
And sold and lost, I guess you could say.
and sold and lost. All right, seems good enough. Then we want to go back to our opportunities tab. Click on this drop down menu right here. Scroll all the way down, or all the way up. And click on the new funnel that we've just created. And here we have our list of pipeline stages. Now, this is basically just keeping your contacts organized just to see how interested they are within your services. Like I said, it's just for organization, pretty much. Now, let's see. Another question that we get asked a lot is how to update pop-up opportunity pipeline and stages. So for that, we need a opportunity to start off with. So let's say I want to make myself an opportunity. I'll start myself off as a new lead, and owner in this case would be basically your employee that is assigned to the contact. So if you want a specific employee to work with the contact, this is where you would put them as owner. So in this case, I will put myself as owner, and then add any additional tags I need, and hit create. And there we go. We created our first opportunity. Now, we just created our first opportunity. Now we want to learn how to update it. It is very simple. You click on the opportunity that you're wanting to update, go to stage, and then click from drop down menu, click the stage that you want them to be updated to. So for this case, let's say I booked an appointment, update, and there we go. I'm over in booked appointment. And it's also as simple as just dragging the opportunity across stages as well. All right. And now I think I'm going to pass it back over to Oren so he can just go over the rest of the commonly asked questions that we receive from clients.
Cool. Don't worry, guys. We're almost done. But a couple things I do want to show that was mentioned earlier. Number one, Cohen did show how to add a opportunity to the board, which was a great example right there. But let's say down the road you want to make this a lot more advanced and add more detail to it. Maybe you decide that you want to add a hot lead section or clicked or open stage and stuff like that. Very easy to do. All you got to do is go to pipeline, find the pipeline that you want to update, click the pencil icon, and then just like how you were adding stages before, you could go in and we could delete them or add more. Let's say example, and then we can move it to the appropriate place if need be, and then save, and then it will automatically update onto the new board that you made. As you can see, there's an example. I was able to find where voicemails for users can be set up. How you would do that is if you go and click on settings at the bottom left corner, and then you click on my staff on the sidebar, find the contact that you want to add a voicemail for. So for example, for me, I'll click the pencil icon, and then there's this section right here, call and voicemail settings. And here I could upload a voicemail if need be. So, and it looks like I've already have one set up. Perfect. So with that being said, moving on to the next thing, which is, let's see, you did that. Okay, so the last thing we want to talk about is custom fields. There is a lot of times where clients ask, this is a lot of good data, but there's specific data for our niche that we need for our contacts. So if you want to add additional fields, not a problem, super easy to do. What you're going to do is if you're back on the home screen, let's say you're on Launchpad, all you have to do is go to settings, scroll down until you see something that says custom fields. You click on that and you'll see all the list of custom or fields that you have for contacts already in here. You could do the same thing for your contacts or for your opportunity as well. We're not going to go into that detail. We're just going to go into how to add custom fields, which is very simple. You can add a custom field by clicking on the add field at the top and then selecting what type of field. Let's say you need to take a picture of their business card. You could do file upload. Let's say you just need their secondary address, because sometimes maybe you have the first address, but you need a suite number or something like that. You could do single line. We could say address to, just in case I have more data like this. And then you put it into their appropriate folder. We'll call this additional info. And then we'll say nothing else right there. So now if we try to find it, there it is, right there inside of additional info. Now, with that being said, there are multiple folders here, but let's say you need something very specific because of a client, or maybe you need it for onboarding process. Let's go ahead and do that then. So we're going to add a specific folder, and we'll call it, let's say, test fields. Awesome. We'll keep it underneath contacts. Now we have a folder called that. In fact, we already had a dummy folder right there, interesting enough. And then we have test field right there. Currently, there is no fields in there, but let's say we want to add that test one that we made earlier. Okay, there it is. We'll go ahead and select it, move it to a group, and then we'll add it to that test fields right there. Cool. And now it's in that folder. Now, what does that mean? Now, if we go into a contact, we'll go ahead and click on the one that Cohen made, and then we'll collapse all these. These are all the folders that were made for this contact. If we go into test field, now you see that contact field that we made earlier. So that's a quick and easy way to organize your contact fields and add additional ones as well. Now, if we want to delete them, very easy. We'll go back to settings, then click on custom fields. Find that specific one that we want to delete. So address to test, we'll delete that. And then if we want to delete those folders as well, very simple. We click on folders at the top, find the specific folder we want to delete, this one right here, click the three dots, and then delete. And that is it for this workshop. That's all the frequently asked questions that we consolidated that were very commonly sent over to us. Cohen, is there anything you would like to add for the end of this call?
You already went over the support knowledge base, so I don't think so.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for enjoying this workshop with us, and we hope to see you next week.